as experienced users, we all get people coming to us asking us for guidance. Not even new users necessarily. Sometimes even experienced users don't know everything. So I'm just going to broaden that out.
Cool. Someone else?
Yeah, I'll speak as someone who really doesn't, I don't use my talk page at all. And the only, let's say I encountered the talk page, I think pretty early on, someone welcomed me. I can't remember who that person was. I thought it was great to be welcomed, though I must admit I had no idea who this person was. Was this a bot? Was this an automated thing that everyone gets welcomed this way? Or it was a bit mysterious. I think I did go to that person's talk page and thank them, but it was just like devoid of a lot of social cues that I think really makes the whole place kind of alien.
So what might have potentially addressed that issue? What kind of workflow could have potentially helped with that? Or how could that
Well, even
workflow
just
work?
saying, is this an automated message?
Yeah.
Or is this a real person? Some indication would help.
Semi-automated message.
We have user tests where people actually, we ask them, do they think that the welcome message was left by a human or a robot?
Yeah.
And it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Same message.
I can't tell.
They can't tell.
And I actually think personally that we should just basically just do it automatically and make sure that you know it's happened automatically. Like welcome Wikipedia, here's some places where you should start learning what to do. Here's some things to do based on your interests that you can describe to us. These are the types of things that we would like you to get involved with. Don't worry, you can't break it. But that's what
Betsy, you had something.
I wanted to share two stories about user page interactions that I think were important to my wiki career. Two things. When I first started editing, and I dived right into editing, and it felt weird, but I made an edit, and I added a word to which I wasn't ready for. And I went back the following day just to look and see if anybody was looking. And I got the first thing that happened was that word that I had added had been translated into, the guy who was in Belgium, so it was French and Dutch. And that was a real surprise. Just that somebody on the other side of the world would care about this nothing little entry that I had written. And I got a welcome message from him as well. His username was Polyglot. And he and I had a conversation, and it was not an automated message. It was not a template. It was very clear it was not a template. And so right away I had somebody to talk to. And that was one of the things that kind of got me in and kind of got me going. The other interaction I would share was a group of some years later. We have an editor, I think she's still working with us still. Yeah. And she's in Japan, and we don't have a Japanese version. So she edits it in English, and she makes these beautiful projects, and she takes these beautiful pictures. And her English is really, really shitty. And I have to respect her a lot for posting in it anyway. But so she likes to collaborate, and she will post an article, and she will know that the English needs a whole lot of work. And so she will find something, she will reach out to somebody, various active community members, and say, can you please help with this? And the particular article she wrote was about teaching combinations and permutations with little plastic markers on printing cups, different colors. And she'd taken some good pictures of this, and the writing was barely understandable. And I tidied up the writing as best I could, and I realized that I hadn't had that particular bit of math in some years and couldn't really write about it as well as I'd like to. And I knew, being a long-time member of the community, and this I think is one of the reasons that I like being in a small community. I knew that which of our other editors were interested in things like that. So I got in touch with them, and one of them I'm sure was the real talk, but I suspect the other was on my mistake. And I said, you and you, I know you know this stuff. Go improve this article, I know you can do it. And so this article that started in Japan and made its way to California. In the next 24 hours, got edited by somebody in the UK, got edited by somebody in Gaza. And by photos for the last few steps. And that was kind of magical to witness that happen and to be part of that happening. The content was not what I contributed to that article. It was more collaboration and connection.
It sounds like we have two workflows there, right?
Yeah, I put down Roundup collaborators, but I think earlier you mentioned the welcome that kind of got you into the community, which wasn't really a welcome, it was more like a social human connection, if I'm understanding correctly.
It was, I have noticed that you edited, this is good, you know, I like it, you know, and we need more people like you. And that's a whole lot different from, hi, please read a bunch of boilerplate text and, you know, here's a bunch of tutorials that you want to take to.
WikiHow has also done a lot of experimentation with welcome messages in terms of what we give people when they first register. We adapted the Wiki welcome bot, which leaves a message that signs off on a person who's recently been active. We found it's way better when the welcome message is simple, like, hey, you made your first edit, cool, here's something you can try. If you have any questions, let me know. Signed off by someone who's recently been active within the past hour. And usually it's someone who's like an admin or a new article booster to return to the chapter, who's new articles. So what we had before was people were actually really good about welcoming was something people love to do. They would go through the list of new contributors and make it a point to leave a message for every single person that registered on WikiHow. But people started to get a little like, people made their own
I've been
templates,
tagged by you,
and
by the
they had
way.
lots of links, and it was just overwhelming, and it was very obvious that it was a template. So when we switched over to this system, it just seemed like people don't know whether it's a canned message or not. They don't know a lot of the time. Like sometimes people, they know about how instantaneous the message is left, that it's probably some kind of bot, but a lot of times they just write back and say, hey, thanks, you know, and it just opens up that channel of communication, just keeping it simple, because you don't know, when you're talking to so many different people, you have no idea what their background is. To make a very specific message is just not a good way to go. Just keep it simple, like a simple greeting, here's something to try if you have the time, and let me know if you have any questions.
I was welcomed by you, and it made me feel super good. I mean, I just thought, hey, this is actually somebody who cares that I just showed up. It was a very simple message, but it just totally made me feel at home.
And the
So
fact
thank
that
you
you
for
have
doing
someone
it.
who signs it, who's online, who, if you send them a question, they'll actually write back, and even if they know it's a canned message or they find out afterwards, like sometimes people will ask me, like, was that an automated message? And I tell them the truth. I'm like, yeah, it was. We use automated messages so that we can make sure we leave your greeting while you're online after you just made your edits, so you actually get it. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Here's my question, or you know, I like WikiHow, so it opens up that dialogue.
Cool. Any other workflows before we break up the small group?
Yeah, I involved in lots of talk page interaction, but I want to talk about two cases about other users' talk pages. A whole lot of my activity is vandal reversion, and I leave a templated message on the other user's talk page. And I don't want to know about whatever else this person is doing unless they have a thoughtful response. So, they said somebody was born in the year 3000, and I referred that, it's wrong, and I said you just put a, wrong fact in, and I don't want this person on my talk page. If they get more templates from other editors, if they go around doing other stupid things, I don't want to know. But if they said, oh, I mistyped that, and hey, I'm a real editor, and I was doing it by phone and something was wrong, then I want to know. So that's a simple case, but I just want to throw it out there.
Yeah, so when there is a thoughtful response, where does it actually happen? Does it happen?
It would happen on their user page from them. So I would only want to know, I would only want to get a reply back. I want to get a notice if they reply. I don't want to know if they get other templates and if they get blocked. I don't.
So let me ask you a question. Do you watch their talk page?
This
light has been going off.
Specifically
as
on,
I
as soon as
So how do you know when they respond to you?
I don't. I
Okay,
don't.
we're gonna hold on to that.
We're gonna fix this.
The thing is, I don't want to have a watch list that just goes on
Right.
for freaking days.
Right.
Publicly related, most of us have
auto watch list pages you create. So if we're creating a new talk page for a user, it will automatically watch list it. But if somebody's already made like a template warning, then it will be automatically watch listing it. So
The response to threads feature.
Yeah,
we'll solve that.
we've solved your problem, okay? But we'll get to it later.
Get to later, okay. So the second thing,
Okay.
Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
was just gonna ask about the
second thing is, I watch a lot of user talk pages on purpose. The people I have had interactions with in the past, positive or negative, and so so there's a lot of workflow that I do that comes from other people's talk pages. And I may not even interact with them. I may see user X got asked if they could look at a certain article, and I'll go, I'm interested in that too. Let me go over to that article. I won't even interact. I'll go look at the article, and I may even help the thing happen. And so I wanted to throw that out there. There's that I didn't interact at all, but I did something because of another person's talk page.
So in that one, your activity actually started on your watch list.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting because a lot of these like talk page interactions actually start kind of like in medias res. Like there's something that happens, right? And then there's a talk page thing, and then there's like something that happens afterwards. So I think when we go through these workflows, let's think about what happens before as well.
So your vandal warning situation there is user, the event 1 is user vandalizes page.
That I
Event
have
2
on my
is
watch list.
that you have on your watch list. Event 2 is you notice it and revert it. And in event 3, even though from your point of view you're using Twinkle or whatever, it's like revert and ban, revert and warn in one click. Even though it is a one-click event for you, it's actually a 2
There's
event.
other things that happen.
There's other things that happen. So in the workflow concept, I mean, that is, we don't want to, it's important to understand how these things happen, but actually it's more important to know what happens, because the software can be made better than like one click maybe. Or we just need to know exactly the steps that are really happening in the process. So it's, you saw the reversion, you click revert, or you reverted it and then left a warning message on the
Well,
talk page.
I saw that something happened on an article on my watch list.
Right.
I click on the diff, I look at the diff, and then I hit twinkle if it needs quick reverting.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna take 2 more things. I think Jay cut his hand up.
Shreyas.
And, so you were first,
Yeah, okay.
then that.
So, two general areas. One we've done some work in, which is acknowledgements. So I see a couple of clusters here. We just added the thanks feature, which is the smallest one, and then we have Wiki Love, and then maybe badges, and then Barn Stars being kind of the ultimate. I would like it to be easier to give and thank and have those interactions where gratitude is expressed. And maybe ways to, when someone gives me a barn star, or I give someone a barn star, that they can, I love the Barnometer, which is just a little template where you can put icons of the barn stars you've been given. I would love more abilities to collect the acknowledgements that you've gotten. Or if you've been thanked, to have a thank counter of all the times you've been thanked or something. Or if you give someone a barn star, that they could say, oh, thank you, and you would, like, maybe even a thanks button, like, on a barn star. So that's one. The other is kind of participation messages. So this kind of includes newsletters, geo-notices, real-life events. I know that people are very kind of spam-wary, but if you could replace Edward's bot, that would be great.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Right.
I'm sorry? Edward's bot is our, it's a
Global
lovingly
message
called our
delivery
spam
system.
bot. If you need to send a message to many users about something, like a newsletter because they participate in a help project, or there's some real-life event you want them to participate, it's a very low-tech, difficult way to send messages.
We had one comment here.
Yeah, I just wanted to note one tool which I actually found, which was, I think, developed recently and I actually found useful, which is the new pages feed. there used to be a new pages tool, and they replaced it with a new pages feed. And I think that's really helpful to, I track it a few times occasionally. I scan through the list. If I see some article that's interesting, I go there, I look through it, see if it's good. If it's not, whether I do a source search and try and add something, and then go and say thank the person who added it, or say that you can. So if it's something, there's one article about some prince in Europe, and I didn't understand the language most of the sources were in, so I went to that person's page and told them, can you translate this and add it in. So I found some sources and I can't understand them, so maybe you can translate it and add it to that. I think that was something that's fairly new, and I've found it to be really helpful.
Right. So I'm going to wrap it up now, because we're going to break up in small groups, and we're basically going to ask you to pick one of these workflows as a small group, and pick it up. So what I'd like you to do first is maybe Mariana can kind of quickly just summarize the items that we just discussed.
While not killing myself with this board.
Yeah, here we go. We can back it up and put it even more in the light.
Can everybody see that? Is that like really
Not at that angle.
Does anyone want to turn this off?
Yeah, I'll turn this off. Do you want to quickly just read them so that they're all in our mind, and then we're going to break up in small groups?